Record to the cloud. Hello, welcome
Great.
back for Financially Fit. We used to do Friday, but it's actually Thursday now, but so just Financially Fit. Hope you're enjoying our series of videos that we've been doing. And this series we started last week, just kind of introduce some of the concerns that people have when they retire and some of the considerations that you need to take a look at when you're ready to retire, about to retire. One of the biggest issues that we've been seeing lately is, and that's why we're starting this series off, is the whole health insurance aspect of retirement. And as we've seen, or studies have shown, Fidelity was the last one I seen, the average retiree will spend over $230,000 on healthcare in retirement. And guess what? That doesn't even include long-term care, which we'll touch on next video. But certainly that's a staggering amount of money that people have been spending on healthcare in retirement. And I would imagine those numbers aren't going to go down anytime soon.
No, in fact, that is a crazy number because that's the number that I was told when I had my first child, that it was going to cost per child to raise 230,000. Isn't that interesting?
It
So
is.
now that I've made it through the kids, or almost through the kids, I now have that to look forward to, huh?
Right. Well, now you can go back and add up all your receipts to see if they're actually correct in that.
Right. Yeah, that's not happening.
No, I'm sure it's not. But today we're going to really touch on the health insurance aspect of this video. So I'm going to kick it off with Tanya's going to just talk about some things to consider as you enter your 60s.
One of the things that we've noticed, or one of the things I definitely have noticed, is that I've had people come in and anywhere between the age of 60 and 63, a number coming in and saying, okay, I'd like to retire. Okay, when do you want to retire? This year. And I'll be, oh, okay. And we did tell a couple of stories last time about, people who've come in and then kind of had sticker shock. One of the biggest sticker shocks, as Alan mentioned, is the healthcare, especially people who have had healthcare through their work, through their place of business. You pay for it, it comes out, but you don't really see it. However, and the assumption is when I retire, I will get Medicare. Well, that's only accurate if you are 65 or older. Before that, if you want to retire at 60, 61, 62, up to 65, you are going to have to find your own healthcare. Sometimes the company will hold you through. Other times, if you're like with us, there's other options. For instance, the New York Exchange. However, it's something that people don't think about, and so that's why we're having this discussion. As Alan said, it's a huge amount of money, right, Alan? And
absolutely. And one thing I noticed, I just did some research for somebody, a single pay on the New York Health Exchange, just for a high deductible plan. So you have to meet your deductible before your insurance company covers anything. And then generally it's an 80-20 copay after that, where you pay 20%, the insurance company pays that 80. But it was $790 just for one individual to go on the New York State Health Exchange. Now, every state is different. Each with the Affordable Care Act, every state has their own exchange products that are available. But $700 plus a month just for a high deductible plan could, the average retiree check from Social Security is $1,400 or somewhere in there. Now you take half of that away at 62, say you're getting $1,400. Take half of that away for your health insurance. What are you going to live on? $700 a month? Gas, food, more. If you have a mortgage, there's a lot of expenses that come up when you're talking about providing for health insurance. And like you said, maybe I am fortunate enough, I work for the state, the county, or some older type businesses that provide me health insurance when I retire. But as we've seen, a lot of those are changing. And how many times do we hear, well, I'm going to retire before our next contract, when they might get rid of that? right?
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the other thing is that even when if you think you have it, and maybe you do have it, what you might not understand is it might not be much lower than that 700 and some dollars. It's not, it rarely is the same amount as when you were actually employed. There's usually some sort of a different level of healthcare and pricing that goes along, even if you are still getting it through your company. So being aware of, that's what we're doing for this month, is just being aware of, and we would rather you not think of it when you're 60. We would like you to think of it when you're 40, 45, 50, just so that when you walk in, it's not a shock and you're not thinking, okay, maybe I can't retire when I want to, because, and that's why we also want you to go talk to somebody like us, because as financial planners, we can take a look at your whole outlook, at your whole financial outlook, and be able to tell you very quickly, like Alan said, here it is, I'm getting 1,400 in Social Security. Some people don't even understand that. They're just like, okay, I get Social Security, and now I get the payments. The cost is something that if you're aware 10 years beforehand, you can make plans for, and that's huge, very important.
And up to 80%. Up to
go ahead.
80% of your Social Security could be taxed too. So
That's
you're
right.
not even getting 1,400. And now
That's
when we
right.
get into Medicare, as you'll touch on in a second, how do I pay for my Medicare?
Well, that's interesting. So you're 65, you decide to retire, and you do get Medicare. There is, it is taken directly out of your Social Security pay. All right. And we can start with Part A. Part A deals with hospital coverage. So you are covered. You have inpatient in the hospital. You can pay. But you do have a deductible. Nothing is completely free. Okay. So you have a deductible of $14.84, and then no coinsurance for up to 60 days. After that, you have to pay a coinsurance, which is quite a chunk. All right. So suddenly you can be, if you're in for some major issue, you could be out thousands of dollars. This is something that you have to be aware of. So that's Part A. Alan, want to speak to Part B?
Yeah. So Part B is for your doctor. So if you're not hospitalized, which they try to get you in and out as quick as possible these days, they don't want people in the hospital as long, and they try to move you along. But then you have your Part B, which you have a premium that you have to pay for. A was covered when you were working. You were paying into Medicare, part of your FICA, all those years that you're paying into your Medicare. And now you get A for free. Whoa, I got my red, white, and blue card. I don't have to pay for that. Well, guess what? You enroll in the Part B. And for more description on the alphabet soup of Medicare, you can watch our video, which is now posted on on YouTube, which we did a whole series on Medicare. But your Part B will cover your doctor's visits, as well as some therapies and things like that. But then you need to supplement, like Tanya said, your high deductible, your deductible for your Part B and your A with a Medicare Advantage, which is your Part C. But then you need drug care, which is your Part D. And then you might need a supplement if you do a lot of traveling. So your FLMN, I don't even know what letter they are on. But there's all these different costs that are associated with not only Medicare, but also what's my out-of-pocket costs as we're moving forward.
So this is what we really wanted to just, make sure that everybody is aware of. And Alan mentioned the video about Medicare. Please take a look at it. There are lots of really, really good, good pieces of information in there. The other thing about Medicare that we want to be very, and retirement that we want to make sure everyone understands is that does not cover long-term care. So if you think that you're going to end up in a nursing home and Medicare is going to cover it, that's not going to happen. So one of the things you need to look at, especially, and I will say this, we women, we are lucky. I think we live longer. However, being that we tend to live longer, we also tend to end up in the nursing home more often, and we tend to have more health issues. So really looking, whether you're a man or a woman, you want to take a look at long-term health care and what you have set up to prepare for when you get to the point where you aren't really capable of taking care of yourself anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, long-term care is, you will have a little bit of coverage in your Medicare Part A for
Right.
long-term care once you're released, but you have to spend a certain amount of time in the hospital before they'll even cover part of your stay in a long-term care facility. But as you were talking, I just actually looked up the average cost in 2021. The average retiree, it's not 250,000, it's 300,000. So I guess
See,
times have
it's more,
changed and we're off on our numbers.
it's more than a kid.
Right. But then you take the average stay of a nursing home at 2.5
Yeah.
years. And when a nursing home costs roughly 125,000, 2 years, that's 250, another half a year, let's say another 75. So 300 plus thousand plus 300,000 for, you're at over 500,000 just in healthcare costs. Not to scare you, but
Alan,
something
I was
to
just
at
going to
least
say,
think
now
about.
you're just scaring them. But
Yeah.
but it is, there's a phrase, knowledge is power, and it really is. The more you know, the more you understand, and the earlier you understand it, the more, the better the decision making you have to when you decide on how how your retirement is going to run, how your life is going to move from the time that you retire or on to the time that you pass away.
Right. And I still remember this day, and I probably should save this for our long-term care discussion, but I had a retiree from General Motors, nice health coverage, and his wife ended up in the hospital and then had to go in a nursing home. He literally started crying when the attorney told him how much it's going to cost him to take care of her. So, I mean, those stories are out there.
Oh yeah.
I think that was my first case, and that's probably why it sticks into and this was going back years ago, sticks into my head that it is something that people have to consider. You have to weigh all your options, whether it's like we talked about earlier, the health exchange, it's Medicare, it's private health insurance. Where's this cost coming from? Who's paying for it? Am I paying for it? And where am I going to pay for that care from?
Right.
Is it my IRAs? Is it my pension? Is it my Social Security? Where is that money coming from to cover these costs? And that's what we can start talking about as you meet with us, and we can have those conversations going on into the future. And also, just to let you know that November is Long-Term Care Insurance Awareness Month. That's a tongue twister, but November is the national awareness for long-term care. So as September was for life insurance, November is for long-term care. And I think it's at the end of the year, so people really bring in their mind of, hey, we need to start thinking about this, not long-term care in general, but also any type of health insurance. And that's why we wanted to really lead off with the health insurance aspect as we're starting the series of, hey, did you think about this as you're heading into retirement? Any any words of wisdom before we depart?
No, I think you said it all. It's great. Like I said, please do take a look at the Medicare video. One of the things I will say this, one of the things I found to be very interesting is, especially if you're watching football these days, you'll see, is it Joe? I think it's Joe Namath out there touting how you can get money back or, keep money in from Medicare, and so a new process is coming out, and one of the things that our specialist Maria mentioned was that you always, and this goes along with financial stuff too, you always have to be careful, because if you're saying that you're keeping or the money is coming back to you, chances are the money's coming out of somewhere else. And she was explaining that they're telling you the money's coming in, but what you're really doing is you're saying, gee, I don't need that eye exam, and I don't need the dental, and I don't need, so always be careful of a gift horse, and talk to people, because when you hear these things, chances are the other side is not being explained very clearly either. So
yeah, and now you mentioned that, it kind of popped into my mind, like, well, I can buy insurance online, I don't have to talk to somebody. Well,
right,
find out somebody to talk to. The majority of people will at least initiate that conversation for free, and not charge you a fee to be able to plan for your health insurance. If there's fees associated, then look somewhere else, because there are resources available that are free that you can take advantage of as you're going through the process of health insurance. But
All right.
with that, I think we'll end there. And we are, just as a quick disclaimer, we are not Medicare representatives. And these opinions are of mine and Tanya's beliefs and not of the vision of Buffalo First Wealth Management. So with that, we will see you next week, and thanks for your time.
Bye, guys.